Kiran, Rishi, Sukhdev Auntie, and Amit. First of all, I just want to thank you all for joining me on Filme Shilmy today. We're here to discuss a very, very important song, I think, which is, of course, Justice for Ricky Reel. It's a song which I think was definitely needed. So I think Rishi, Kiran, and Amit, I want to begin with you. Firstly, thank you as well for creating the song. I heard the song, and I think it really brought tears to my eyes because I've heard about the case and I've heard about what happened to Ricky, and it's very, very heartbreaking. Um, so when was the initiative first thought in terms of setting up the music and setting up the song? Rishi, will begin with you.
Um, well, thank you for your words. Basically, Amit and myself were involved with, with what was going, what happened with Ricky. I think Amit more than me. He was there from when he did the reconstruction on, I think it was Crime Watch. So we've been, we've been there for the last 20 years, and I've met Auntie a few times. We did actually a concert for Ricky around 15 years ago, I think. It was around 15 years ago with Sanjay Sanj and some other people in East London. And just recently, I think about a couple of years ago, I've always kept in touch with Auntie over Facebook. She's quite active over Facebook, and we're friends on Facebook. So, she was one day she was just sent me some of her poetry, and I was like, how's it going? And just having a conversation, and how are you? And she was like, I've asked a lot of people from the industry to help me. I want some music out, I want a song out to represent, Ricky's memory and everything like that. And firstly, I was like, obviously I was like, I really want to do this. I would love to do this. And then it kind of, I think about a month later, she messaged back. She goes, have you had any thought about what you want to do? And then I kind of just had this sudden thing, like, what, if we don't do it now, it's not going to happen. And I literally picked up the phone and I said, look, Auntie, I'm calling you. And I called her and I said, look, what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? How can we do this for you? And then, she just look, I want to leave it in your hands, and but I want some sort of memory out there. And I think the thing was that she had asked a lot of people from the industry, and obviously everyone is doing their own thing. And I was like, look, don't worry, we'll do it, and I know the perfect team. So literally, I think I put the phone down. Kiran was with me in the studio. I was like, I was explaining to her about Auntie and Ricky and everything, and then I FaceTime Chana, and I was like, look, let's do this. Actually, I said, look, do you want to do this? He was like, of course. And then I think I put all three of us on a FaceTime group call, and I was like, okay, we're going to do this now. And I got Raj involved, and that was it. And since then, I don't think we've looked back. We've just kind of like, okay, let's do this. We just, we started to construct how are we going to do this. Chana and myself, Amit and myself were talking about how, because obviously he raps and stuff, and he writes great lyrics, and I was like, maybe you can do some spoken poetry, and we all came up with the idea of the fact that Auntie had written so much. She's obviously, her thoughts were down on paper, and when she sent that to us, we're like, this is what we're gonna use, exactly what's come from our heart, And then Kiran kind of used some of the lyrics, some of her words, and and we put like an English pop hook together, and that was it. Amit recorded his bits in London. We worked on it here in the studio. And it was just, when some things just kind of, when you do things with a pure heart, you kind of things just come together. And this has been our team, our creative team, and Raj Guy, of course. So yeah, it's been a great thing. I had a conversation today with Auntie actually, and I was like, she was asking me, how do you feel about the song? I'm like, it's not about what the song is, will do on, with numbers and stuff like that. The fact is that we did this for you, and we're not gonna, we're not gonna stop, and I hope like other artists come forward now and do other, maybe do other songs. You never know, but I'm glad that we've done this. I really am, truly.
Yeah, I'm glad as well. Amit, would you like to say or add on to that as well? Because as mentioned, you were part of the reconstruction as well, I believe, on Crime Watch, was it?
So, yeah, it was. I can't remember if it was Crime Watch. Thanks for having us, Anuj. Really appreciate it. I can't remember if it was Crime Watch, but it was an official BBC reconstruction for something to do with the case, to do with the kind of injustice of Ricky's death. and I remember Tommy Nagra, who's now the head of Children in Need at BBC, you know, he's gone on to do great stuff. It was his first thing that he directed and produced for the BBC when he first got taken on as a young kind of a maker. And there was a bunch of young actors that were just contacted through our agents saying there was this case that happened. There's a reconstruction being made around Kingston and they'd like you to be in it. And I played one of Ricky's friends. And actually at the time, I didn't know anything about it, you know, and through doing the reconstruction, I then went home and learned more about it. And then somewhere along the line, somehow, you know, they call it Kismet or fate or, you know, just synergy. Sanjay Sanj, who both Rishi and I used to work with back in the day and is still like an older brother, he got involved separately with Auntie for the kind of campaign to make a music concert event and CD back then, some sort of 20 years ago, of which then Rishi and I got involved when we did a press conference and a concert thing at Kingston Uni. And then we did a massive event in East London with Fundamental and ADF, Asian Dub Foundation, Taz, Tira Nation. There was a whole host of us. I think Apache was involved as well. You know, so in a way, we've sort of been on that track from really early on. So when Rishi contacted me after all this time about being involved in sort of reigniting the awareness, I was kind of like, of course, it's only natural, you know, because we've been on the train, as it were, for the longevity, and I had no hesitation. I didn't actually know how I would be involved. I haven't done any music probably since then. It's been about 20 years.
Wow.
So Rishi was like, look, don't worry, maybe you can write it, maybe you can perform it, maybe we can find a way for you to be involved. And then, as Rishi said, you know, Auntie put together this amazing email with some of the press cuttings, some of her poetry, some of the footage that she had and obtained from back then, and she put together this massive file. And as I trawled through it all, you know, reading some of Auntie's poetry, I literally just took a piece of paper and started writing things, and it just all, you know, I was talking about it the other day. I've still got the piece of paper here with all the scribbles and the rubbing outs, and you know, of actually writing it, and it stays with me here because I look at it every day and I go, I don't even know how it happened. You know, it just kind of came out from Auntie's words, and then Kiran wrote the hook based on some of her poetry as well. And then all of a sudden, you know, 4 weeks later, we had a song and we started shooting the video elements from our houses, and it was done, you know. And I really believe in fate and just synergy. Something happened that kind of brought us all together and made this happen, man.
A divine power. I think it's definitely a divine power. I think when you set out to do something with a pure heart and with good intentions, I think everything just falls into place. I think I've definitely had experiences like that in my life too, so I can totally understand. Kiran, what would you like to say as well, based on what Rich
I
did?
think everything that, you know, Chana and Rishi have both said is completely 100% correct. I think for me, you know, I actually didn't know about Ricky's story. I've heard of many stories, you know, of things happening to other people like Ricky, you know, and the whole racism thing. You know, even when I was at university, I think we've all kind of seen it through different forms. But Ricky's story specifically, I didn't know anything about it. So when Rishi was speaking to Auntie and sort of, you know, told me about the whole story, I was very disheartened from one female to another, that she was struggling and has been struggling for something that you would think is your God-given right, you know, firstly the truth, the justice, and she's been struggling to find any kind of peace, any comfort, any kind of closure, which I think, you know, she really, really, really just does. That's all she wants, is to be able to just put a lid on everything now and say, okay, I've got my answers and I can now start to move forward with my life. And when I was, you know, reading through her poetry just spoke volumes to me. So it made actually just writing and kind of forming the hook using her words very, very easy. It was just, I think everything for all three of us, it just came from the heart. We just did something purely for the heart, you know, not for the hits or the chart positions or anything like that. It was just basically getting a message out there for Auntie, and that was it.
Right. No, I think, and I'm really glad, like I said, that it's happened. But Auntie, I'd like to speak with you as well a little bit. How important is it for Ricky's story to be told through music and through any sort of performing arts?
It's very important for me because people need to be aware of what happened to Ricky, and not just what happened to Ricky, but the story behind it, which the song has highlighted. It talks about the struggles of a family. And by listening to the song, people can hear my tears. I started writing poetry when I was young, but it was just, anyway, rubbish. But the day when Ricky went missing, I used to go out, say about 7, 6, even 2 o'clock in the morning, looking for Ricky, come back, and then just lock myself in the room. And like everybody else said, like Ameet said, the words were pouring out of me. It was like talking to Ricky. It was like pouring my grief on the paper. And it was just like telling myself that, yes, that's how I feel, and that's how I'm going to go about it. It's very important for people to listen to that song. They have been, like been mentioned before, there have been artists I have approached, and I am not going to name any of them, and they are very big artists. 4 of them I met in a temple, really big unknown artists. And I went over to them and I said, look, you live in UK, you have heard about the story. And they said, yes. I said, look, could you please perform a song for Ricky? And they said, well, what's your number? And I gave them my number. And as they were leaving, I saw them putting their number in the bin. Yeah, I would have had a lot of respect for them if they had said, we haven't got the time, we can't do it. Right. Yeah. And then one writer, I went to his concert and I approached him and I said, could you please write a song for Ricky? I will provide the material. I provided a lot of poetry and everything. Nothing. So, these 4 courageous young people stood up.
Absolutely.
Facing the world, facing everyone, and said, we are not frightened of anything. We are going to do a song, and people listen to a story. So what I want people is to share that story. By sharing this, they are helping our campaign. We are launching a petition on Monday. It's because now, hearing the song, people have contacted us. People have demanded that we create a petition, which will be out on Monday or Tuesday, backed by MPs and monitoring groups and so on. So we are asking the police to revisit our case. There were they had forensics and other lines of inquiry, which they failed to do, saying we don't have the resources. And I would like to mention something else as well, that we were told that they did not have the resources to conduct the inquiries. Right. Like investigating Ricky's case, other lines of inquiries. But unfortunately, we found out that those resources were taken away from the investigation and spent on spying on me.
Yes.
Yes, I am. My case is going to be heard on the 6th of November in High Court. And we were told by the police, and we met the High Court judge as well, who have said that, yes, you were being spied on by more than one police officer. So they were spying on us when we were asking them to carry out a proper investigation. We were just, doing a basic campaigning, which is just a basic right to get justice. But instead, they were following me, looking to see who I was talking to and gathering all the information. So my question is, why did they spy on us? What was the purpose of spying? And the information they have gathered on us, what were they going to do? Was it going to be used on me? Our campaign was very, very big, and it was very strong. We had really prominent people in our campaign speaking about the Ricky Real case, pointing out their mistakes. So the police got really frightened. So instead of working, investigating the death, they started spying on us. I was working with Mr. Lawrence as well, Stephen Lawrence's father. So we supported each other. I attended the Macpherson inquiry. In fact, I gave my own version. I spoke at the Macpherson inquiry, and I've submitted my submissions as well about the whole case. So because we had all these people, they were, all with us, they were spying on us. So the story is really important. Sorry.
But why do you think, I'm just really shocked, I remember reading about the way the police handled the case, and it really shocks me. Auntie, why do you think this sort of happened?
Because their perception was that as an Asian woman, I should just sit quietly and accept what was being said to me and say, thank you very much for your investigation. From day one, they said to me, when we went to report Ricky's that missing at the Kingston police station, the police officer said that Ricky may have run away with a girlfriend, or as Asian people do, they arrange their children's marriage. Maybe Ricky objected to that and has run away. And then on top of that, the officer winked and he said, well, you never know. Your son may your son may be gay, and he decided to run away. So that was what was stereotyping. That was what was in their mind, and that's the reason we haven't got justice for Ricky. And the whole investigation carried on this stereotyping. Ricky's case started with a racial attack. Ricky's case, Ricky's case started with a racial attack, and his investigation was covered by officers who believe in racism, and then the spying took place because we will not keep quiet, because we kept on standing up and asking them questions. We were meeting with all MPs, we were in the House of Commons, we met the Commissioner of the Police, and we went everywhere. We used to be 6 months, I was on the road. I visited each and every part of UK, giving lectures, speaking about it. And there were big conferences where I was invited to speak about the case. So we were pointing out the mistakes about what they made. Like, for example, we collected a CCTV camera, which should have, would have shown them what happened to Ricky. We handed it to them and they lost it. They went to court and they admitted, yes, we've lost the evidence. So that's the type of inquiry the police were doing, simply because, their perception was Asian people don't ask questions. Asian people, when anything happens, they go in and close the door. I am standing here telling people to open their doors, open their eyes, open their mouths, and come and help us. If we don't do that, the police will continue to treat us this way. And, it would be somebody else's son or daughter lying there. I have been out. Even though my heart was breaking, I have been supporting the Lawrence campaign, been going to the meetings. When the boys were, when they had a public inquiry, I attended each and every day of the public inquiry. Michael Manson's was burned to death. I attended there. I gave family support. Sylvester Roger Sylvester, I think. And I'm there with their families, offering support. Hiding, even though I come home and I sit and close the door and I start crying simply because I haven't got justice, simply because I miss my son, simply because I want the son to be with me. But I still continue to support families, and that's what I want public to do that for us. But I think some are doing it. Look at this for young people; they've done it. Right. So why can't others do it? I'm sorry, I just want to make this point. People may not like it. There are lots of actors, singers out there, performing, looking at their hits, saying how famous we are. It's people like us who have put you there. Of course. And put a hand on your heart. Put a hand on your heart and tell us what you have done for people like us. Nothing. So wake up. Wake up, people.
Anuj, I just want to go back to what you're saying as well. The fact is, Auntie is a force to reckon with. Yeah. And there's a reason why police start spending money on spying on people like her, because they've never seen anything like that before. Families come from ethnic backgrounds. They lose somebody, they mourn, they chase their tail day and night for X amount of time, and then they disappear. They accept what's happened. Auntie is an anomaly for them. They've never seen a woman of her background, of her age, with that much stealth and that much kind of power and drive after 23 years to still be knocking at their door. And that's the reason why they've started spending money on it, because they're saying, who is this woman? Why is she turning up to all of these cases? Who is she meeting? Why is the Stephen Lawrence case getting support from her? Why are all these other cases getting support from her? And they've never seen anything like that. So they have to, in their mind, they have to start spending the money elsewhere and going, let's keep an eye on this woman, man. She seems dangerous for them. Right. You see what I mean? And that's why it happens. Because if they open they call it ball call, right? In Hindi or whatever. If they open the lid to one thing, they'll find 100 of them. And if Auntie, hopefully, fingers crossed, gets justice for her, for Ricky, for her son, they'll find 10 other cases exactly like that. Yeah. And that's what they're trying to keep the lid on.
But I think what really concerns me, though, is because you mentioned Stephen Lawrence's case as
Mm.
well, and I feel the amount of media coverage that Stephen Lawrence's case got, Ricky's case did not get that much. The coverage was not as vast as I
But
hoped
that,
or wanted it to be.
but
You
surely
know,
that's because the community got behind Stephen Lawrence's case. I don't know. Auntie's already mentioned X amount of people in the industry that haven't really stood up and done anything to help.
right?
Just 2 days ago, I put a link in one of our WhatsApp groups. There is a new kind of short film that's been made with recognizable Black people from across entertainment, from politics, from everything, still talking about Stephen Lawrence. So much so that they've created a Stephen Lawrence Day that launches next year.
Mm,
Right? But no one in our community has done anything like this for 20 odd years. Of course, we
right.
did try some time ago, but
Yeah.
also we're in a different generation now. We're in different times. We've got technology, we've got social media, we've got the ability to relook at that CCTV if it was found again, the DNA, all that kind of stuff can be really looked at with fresh eyes and with fresh technology. And also the hope is that 23 years later, the people that are running the Met and the people that are our police officers on the street that open these inquiries are much more open-minded than they were back then, because they'll
Mm,
have spent time and grown up with people of color and they'll feel for them. 23 years ago, the white people that were running the Met and those officers that were dealing with the case had complete racial ignorance. And
yeah.
I hope, we all hope that that has changed 23 years later.
I think what's happened now, especially since the whole George Floyd incident that happened in America, I think since then there's been a lot of scrutiny on the police and the way they operate, not just in US, but I think even in Britain as well. There was literally, I think recently on the news, I was looking at the way they were sort of like questioning the stop and search sort of protocols and stuff, and it's been highly problematic according to some as well. Speaking of which, racism nowadays is very much prevalent. I think that's something that we can all kind of agree on. I mean, it might not be as obvious, but it's definitely still there. And obviously, as we saw in the case of George Floyd as well, what do you think the community can do collectively to stand up against it? I mean, can it ever be omitted? Rishi and Kiran, I'd like to come on to you for this. Rishi, would you like to start first?
Well, I think, it does annoy me about our community sometimes, it does, because I think, it like it's been so many years that, Auntie's been trying to get justice, and and I just hope, I mean, like Auntie and Ameet did an interview with another website a week ago, and I've never seen that many shares, like how many people shared it, how many views, and I was kind of like, okay, some people are waking up now. But that's what we need. We need everyone to get behind this. And I was very frustrated last week. I put a post up on Instagram because I'm very vocal. Like I speak my mind, and that's the way, that's the way our mothers have kind of brought us up. We don't, if we've got something to say, we will say it. Through music or through. And I put a post up was like, you guys go behind. I'm not saying you guys generally, but I'm saying Asian media really latch onto people who've got like big fancy cars in the videos, jewelry, girls dancing half naked. Look at the views, and you really publicize that. But you've got some real issue here, and you guys can't do nothing. Like I know for a fact that not. I mean, like a lot of the media have come forward, but I've had conversations with media, with radio stations, who are saying we don't know if we can play your music because it might we don't know if we can play this because it's borderline. It could land us in trouble. I'm not going to name who it is, but my point is, it's like, but come on, man, this is your community. This is your own. You know what I'm saying? This is your own people, and it does. And the last couple of weeks, we've got a separate group between all of us, which Auntie, you're not in because the language we use in that group, you don't want to be in that
Sorry,
group.
I'm
You know what I
used to
mean?
it, don't worry.
No, but I'm saying because we get annoyed. We're like, what the hell is going on? Because we are, yes, we've tried to do our bit in it, but what's actually happened is that it's actually lighted a fire within us as well to say, actually, you know what? I've got no problem in telling Asian artists or Asian media. I never have anyway, but this gives me an even more to say, I'm not going to support you because you didn't support this, and if you don't support this, then this is it. You might say, oh yeah, you guys are amazing and legend this and Pudgy this, but when it comes down to it, you're not supporting it. So we're very vocal about this now. We're just like, you know what? So your answer to your question is that we need people to, like, we should be having interviews every day.
Right. 100%.
There's enough media in our community, in our Asian music and entertainment industry. I mean, like, to be honest, apart from Ameet and maybe Gurinder Chadha, I don't see any other actor, Indian actor, who's come forward. Really. And I'll say, I'll put my hands up. No Indian actors come forward and going, you know what? Yes, we're going to support this. Yet they'll go on TV and they'll mock Indians and they do comedy sketch shows. You know what I'm saying? So is that well, that's the truth, isn't it? It's like, where's the justice in that? So
And that's
to
why,
answer your question. That your answer is that everyone needs to wake up and support this. Really.
And I think this is what scares me a lot, because we're talking about disparities, racially. But I think within our own community, but there's just no lack of unity. And I can definitely vouch for this as well.
But the thing is, sorry to interrupt you, but the reason why I can compare it, because a week before that, I had a record out with Jay Sean, and everyone was phoning me. My phone was, oh my God, this is amazing. Can you do this? I was doing 5 to 6 Zoom interviews a day. And I was I said to Raj, like, I can't do anymore. As soon as we have a real track come out, the same people were like not getting back to us, ignoring our emails, not playing the song. And that shows the industry for you. So that's my thing. Like, now I actually kind of feel like we should be putting more music out like this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which really kind of breaks down barriers. We want to break down barriers. We should be putting out more music, which is, apart from, I would say, like RDB, Manj put out something for Kuli, like when he passed away, all the Asian artists got behind that, which was great. And we need more of that. So, like I said to Auntie this morning, that I would love to see like a Jazzy B now come forward and do a track for Ricky. You know what I mean? And, and then the Shinda, all these people. Shinda's a great guy. I know. It's about kind of just saying to these guys, come on, let's get behind it. This is what you should, once a month or once every 2 months, until Auntie finds justice, there should be a song out. That's
Absolutely.
my personal opinion.
I completely agree, to be honest. And I think it's very important for the story to be told as well. Sorry, Kiran, I wanted to come on to you as well.
I completely agree with both Rishi and Ameet. I tell you, when we were discussing internally between Rishi, Ameet, Raj, and myself, it was quite sad actually, because we had this idea that we wanted to get a bunch of artists, between us, especially Rishi and Ameet, who have been in the music industry for a very, very long time, have got, a lot of good relationships, got a lot of good contacts, and these guys are there for anyone who, whenever they're needed. They always are. They always have been. And, there was a conversation that we had, and we all sort of decided that we would love to be able to, reach out to, maybe 20 to 25, maybe even 30 artists, and just get them to take a clip of them holding a banner that just says Justice for Ricky Will, like Auntie and Uncle did for the video. And we thought, if we do something small as that, it will show the rest that, the artists are supporting this. This is a real life issue. It's not about tutu meme. It's not about having unity in the music industry. It's the fact that, God forbid, like what happened to Ricky was so tragic. It could happen to anybody. It could be me. It could be you. It could be my brother. It could be anybody. And that's a scary, scary thought. That's why we have to unite. Not because we're in the music industry and we run in the same circles.
Yes.
But the fact was, when we discussed that, yes, let's approach artists, the conclusion was, okay, how many people can you name that would actually do that? And I think when we were discussing it, I think guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we probably named about 4 or 5. If that would possibly take the time out to, actually do that.
And those 4 or 5 were just people from our camp, from our social circle.
Yeah.
They weren't even external of that. Do you know what I mean? We couldn't count on 2 hands who we thought would have done it without a persuasion.
And that was a possibility. Like, oh, okay, if they're having a good day, maybe they'll do it if they've got a bit of time. And I think that was also for us, that even before the song came out, even before, I think we even sent the song to Auntie for her feedback and her approval and everything else. We were discussing visually where to take it. I think that already kind of sort of started a fire between, ourselves, because we already knew that actually, what, no one's really going to understand the why we've done this. And, Auntie keeps saying that we've been so courageous, and, we've stood up for a cause because, when no one else was. To be honest, I think, and I'm sure I speak for everybody else as well, we didn't think twice about, okay, let's make a stand, let's change the world, let's stand for something, let's start a revolution. It wasn't any of that. It was a case of, here is a mum. Here is a mum who is in pain and has been for a very, very long time. And she just wants to put a song out in the memory of her son whilst she continues her road and travel to justice. Isn't that the least we can do for one of our own? It wasn't really being about courageous and, proving yourself as a true artist. It wasn't none of that. Yeah, it wasn't any of that at all. It was just, we heard her poetry. We spoke to her on FaceTime. And like Chana said, she's a force to be reckoned with. You just fall in love with her. She's so sweet. And yet she's been through absolute hell. I mean, this is something the least we can do. And, the industry hasn't really supported. But it's fine because, like Auntie said, the petition is happening on Monday and Tuesday, so it's okay. We'll still make the right moves that we need to make sure Auntie gets the truth.
It's important to know that the song, funny enough, there's nothing political about the song. No. It doesn't point a finger at anyone. It doesn't sort of say somebody did wrong and this person did that. And the song, the first verse is about the journey that Ricky went on through his life and where it ended, sadly. And the second verse is about a mother's plight in trying to find justice for that injustice, But what's happened is, by being part of this song, the three of us have literally put a rocket up our backsides and we've become political about it. Right. Because the passion is, now what you're seeing here is not about the song. It's about individual passion, and it's about individual kind of going, actually, yeah, we've done the song, but what we want to do is this. These are our own individual views now. The song doesn't stand for anything political or pointing the finger at anyone. The song is a song there in tribute for a memory of a young boy who lost his life, who actually, incidentally, is only 2 years younger than me. So that boy could have been me, man. I used to go out to Kingston to the options. I used to go to the same clubs that Ricky probably went to. Do you know what I mean? It could be anyone. And that's what that song is about. It's making sure that nobody else has to go through what Auntie's been through and nobody else has to lose their life the way that Ricky lost his life.
Absolutely. And honestly, I've only got a couple of minutes left. I think just 2 minutes left of the interview today. And I'm really, really gutted that I've only got 2 minutes left. But Auntie, I think I just wanted to come on to you and say, I cannot even imagine the pain you've gone through all these years. I mean, 23 years waiting for justice has not been easy. But on a final note, what would you say has been the greatest strength for you? And how do you hope that strength will help you to find justice for Ricky?
The strength that comes to me is, I feel, maybe people think I'm mad, but I feel Ricky is standing behind me. He's giving me a lot of support. He was a son. He was also my friend. And I think the most support that comes from me is my children. Even though I lost a lot of their childhood by traveling out, by out on the roads, by attending meetings and so on. But they're still here. They're still giving me love. And their words always ring in my ear. Mom, we are very proud of you. Mom, we are here. Mom, last night there was a program on the Carl channel. My daughter was there. And on Monday, the BBC News are highlighting our case again. So, we are doing this, but my family is supporting me. And like new four friends, they are supporting me. And the people need to get together. And, you just now mentioned about our own people not getting together. And I think there are so many groups, there are so many, temples, churches, all that sort of stuff. And they're all protecting their own. And also the community saying, wow, if somebody else's child, why do I need to get involved? Yeah. Let her deal with it. Or if we get involved, maybe the police will come after us. That's the fear of the Asian community that has led to the police treating us the way they have. Right. So people support us, sign up a petition, listen to a song, and please, all the artists, remove a stone that's in your heart, become a human being, and help us. It could be your son lying next, anywhere.
God forbid,
yeah. I don't want that to happen. And that's the reason I am fighting, marching the streets day and night to make sure Ricky gets justice. And I also want to change the perception of the police, the perception they have of Asian people.
Absolutely.
So if I can change that, is something that has come out of Ricky's death.
Yes,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
But
And I also want to mention, sorry, just the day Ricky went missing on the 14th of October, that is the day my mother died. And instead, a campaigner was born.
no, but you know what? You are an extremely formidable force to be reckoned with, as Amit has said. And Auntie, I've been keeping up with the case now and then. I just read up on it. I just came across it. And when I found out that you all have collaborated for a song, I think I was immediately just so touched, the fact that this has happened even 23 years later. And I'm really glad that, Rishi, Kiran, Amit, you've all collaborated for a song. And Auntie, please stay strong. Please keep smiling. Aapki muskaan bahut pyari hai. So please keep that smile on. And I'm sure things will get better soon. Time has changed. And I'm sure justice will happen for Ricky. And thank you very much, everyone, for joining me on Filme Shilmy
Thank you.
today. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Anuj.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.